There is luxury, and then there is ultra luxury, and that is what the builder behind Drake's mansion under construction has created. Our Andrea Kay stopped by the Bridle Path site and has this report.
It's a residential construction site like no other. This 35,000 square foot mansion on 2 acres in the Bridle Path is the future home of Drake.
We all know that Drake is 10 for 10 on Billboard and 17 for 17 on his girlfriend's age. And look, I know I give Drake a lot of shit, whether it's getting his mouth violated by a rich cougar, getting slapped by Diddy, getting dubbed by Georgia Smith, getting dubbed by Rihanna, getting destroyed on wax by Joe Budden, or wasting nearly $1 million on a watch that reads him stale pickup lines from the 50s. But I want to make it very clear, as I have done in previous videos, even though I mercilessly mock Drake for being a herb, a simp, or a bitch, I love Drake. Much like Soulja Boy for mocking Tiger for losing his bitch to Travis Scott and then immediately claiming to love Tiger.
Tiger! The nigga that lost his bitch to Travis Scott? I love Tiger.
I want it to be made clear that I love Drake's music. I truly admire him as an artist, an entrepreneur, and a visionary who has done more to drive the rap game forward in the past 10 years than pretty much anyone. But, and there's a big but, because after all, we know Drake loves them BBWs. Because when you become top dog in the rap game, you get a little too sure of yourself. You get a little big-headed. Because the whole point of people like me is to point, laugh, and say, hey, the emperor has no clothes. Or in Drake's case, this emperor has far too many clothes, sends a few questionable DMs on Instagram, and just generally goes around acting like a real douche. And so for all the Drake stans out there, before we get into this thing, I just want to say that I love Drake's music as much as you do. Hell, probably even more. But when a man builds a house so big that it literally breaks the Toronto zoning laws and requires him to cut down almost 30 trees to fit his goddamn ridiculous driveway in like some sort of anti-Mr. Beast, frankly, he deserves to be taken down a peg or two. And so with that said, let's take a look at Drake's ridiculous chongus of a house. Now look, I've always been fascinated with Drake's living situation ever since I'd learned that he had actually manifested his dreams and bought the mansion house with the beautiful pool that was made famous by the Windows stock wallpaper. That's a boss move right there, and it proves that the secret truth of manifesting your dreams truly works. And I guess by that logic, it means that by the time I get rich and famous, I'll end up getting eaten by the lion from the OSX wallpaper. Ah! So before he even built his lavish, ludicrous, and luxurious Toronto mansion, he was no stranger to living the high life. His multi-million-dollar Hidden Hills mansion in Los Angeles is quite the beauty, sporting a tennis court, volleyball court, and 5-horse stable and riding area. Funnily enough, all activities that seem beloved by teenage girls. In fact, I hear it's got a luxurious garage with space for his kitted out van, fully customized, complete with a mattress, a lava lamp, and absolutely no windows. I need a one dance, got some jelly beans in my van, get in my van! And we of course all know that he famously bragged that he would buy the neighbor's house if they complained about the noise. Apparently an on-wax brag that he really ended up doing, taking the douchery to a whole new level and actually shilling out $2.85 million for the home next door. But lucky for Drake, the neighbor on the other side was actually Jeffrey Epstein, who makes a whole lot of similar noises. But let's be real, who really cares about Drake's Hidden Hills hideaway? Because pretty much any rapper in the industry with a crummy record deal has $1 million mansion in the hills these days. No, what we're truly interested in is that absolute beast of a mansion that Drake built during the period when he was truly getting more slaps than the Beatles. And since we know he sees himself as the Obama of Toronto, but then again, to be fair to Drake, I think he achieved a lot more than Obama did in 8 years. But anyway, it's absolutely no surprise that Drake named this mansion the Embassy. Not just because it was a place where depressed and displaced teenage girls would wait hours in line to get a good seeing to, but because he obviously needed digs fit for a head of state. Ideally, one in a country where you can get away with having a bunch of love children. Get well soon, Bojo. And so, Drake bought a 2-acre plot in Toronto's exclusive Bridle Path neighborhood at for a rumored $6.7 million in 2016, which at the time was home to a stunning 1963 single-story home designed by Canadian modernist architect James A. Murray. But fuck it, knock that down, Drake's in town. And for an iconic property, Drake obviously needed himself an iconic designer, and who better than Ferris Rafuli? Hey, you know someone's legit when their logo is 2 letters merged into one. He's like the Bugatti or M&M of house designers. Eminem? Emini? I don't know, I'll ask my granddad how to pronounce it. So Ferris Rafuli is a legit designer, having actually already collaborated with Drake on his Share Club, a Soho House-esque private members club that's so private no one's ever fucking heard of it. Welcome to the Share Club, where you can share anything you like. Memories, drinks, your wife. It's filled with luxurious fittings and the finest couches, where Drake and his team can mingle with your wives. luxurious powder room with extravagant sinks and mirrors. Perfect place to hoist your wife's butt while the sex god claps them cheeks. But from the start, much like a late night DM asking if your mother will let you come to the concert, Drake's mansion rubbed the local authorities up the wrong way. As I've mentioned, the original blueprints already exceeded numerous building codes. In fact, I believe it was specifically Title 6.9, an incident of a resident bawling so hard motherfuckers actually gotta fine him. But really, upon its proposal, Drake's mansion was set to be a whopping 55 feet tall, where the city's laws apparently only permitted residencies of up to 36 feet, as well as a driveway which was 111.5 feet, which is over triple the 29.5 feet that are allowed by Toronto zoning laws. But then again, I can sympathize. Obviously, he needs somewhere to park that absolutely ridiculous chonkler of a Mercedes Pullman limousine. Fire. I mean, that is a true dick car. And Drake actually had to battle with the city for taller than usual fences and walls, arguing that he needed 4.4 meter tall walls for security concerns and to hide from his neighbors.
Bylaws would normally restrict the fence height here to 2 meters, but some of the gates, fences, and walls around this property are as high as 4.4 meters. Including the brick wall along the back of the property. And the neighbor who shares that lot line isn't happy.
And apparently fans kept turning up to the building site to try and catch a glimpse of him, and he doesn't want people to know where he eats, Young Box.
Everyone knows where he sleeps, where he eats, and that has really freaked him out.
The International Icon's local rep told North York Community Council today that despite 24-hour security on the premises, fans are constantly trying to access the site to catch a glimpse of the house and the star.
The attempts of getting into this property is daily and nightly.
But that request was eventually granted and reported on by the local news, who were all too eager to make drizzy puns. Hey, that's my job!
Well, they didn't call him on his cell phone, but councillors did approve a special request by rapper Drake at North York Community Council today. The Toronto native was seeking a bylaw exemption that would allow him to have some extra high fences around his property in the name of security.
Particularly because Drake had actually covered up the enormous brick wall that neighbors were calling an eyesore with even more enormous cedar wood trees to cover it up, apparently to the tune of $1 million.
The brick wall is an eyesore to my clients in the neighborhood, as it could be observed from almost every single room of my client's residence.
But today, councillors sided with the star, saying the fact that Drake has spent more than $1 million on 20-foot-high cedar trees to hide the massive fences mitigates the aesthetic impact.
Frankly, this was a big change of fortune considering the fact that Drake's team were previously being investigated for having cut down a bunch of trees that they didn't have the right to cut. However, tree chopping and fence topping aside, construction continued and slowly but surely the Epstein embassy was completed. And upon completion via TMZ and Drizzy's own Instagram, we dirty unwashed peasants would finally get a glimpse at how sex gods live when they're back home smoking legal. Warning, the following images are not suitable for broke-ass marks. Entry is permitted to ballers only. If you have a net worth of less than $10 million, please leave this video and return when you got your money up. Alright, good. Now that we've got rid of those peasants, we can finally have a look inside Drake's baller house. But before we get inside, let's take a gander at this lavish and enormous exterior. As we drive through the front gates and into the entrance, we can see that Drake's got luxurious purple uplighting for the front facade of his property, as was shown off extensively by these obnoxious thotties.
This is one of the Parliament buildings in Canada.
That Drake had invited to his OVO Fest after party. Fun fact about the purple, this mansion actually runs on codeine, meaning that it's actually 10 times more expensive to run than solar energy, and it takes twice as long to turn on the lights. But hey, it does mean that any song played out loud in the crib does sound chopped and screwed. And another fun fact, if that purple uplighting outside the front of the property was too modest for you, Drake can actually project his own personal Six God logo onto the front of the house. Or alternatively, a 100 times magnified projection of Drake's tiny but strangely wide penis, which we all know that this house is directly compensating for. And now, before we make it all the way into the house, you're gonna wanna park your Lambo. And luckily, this crib has a beautiful 10-car garage, embarrassingly too short of a full 21 Savage. Oh no, wait a minute, Drake seems to stack his cars on top of each other, so that's a full 20. Damn, Savage, you gotta get your stacks up, homie. And now the whip is parked, before you take a look inside, let's build some more suspense and take a quick look at that rear exterior. Because you know how much Drake likes rears, and even hitting it from the back, this place is positively palatial. It has an enormous rear facing window for looking out onto the outdoor pool. Or if you're really bored, you can play a giant game of tic-tac-toe tic-tac-toe with one of the many women that Drake has sunbathing outside of his house at any point. Oh, good work, baby. I guess you win another abortion. Right, now let's take a step inside and have a look at the living space. But before we do, bitch, take your shoes off. Roddy Ricch is coming round for dinner later and you know how he gets about feet. And once we get inside, you'll see there's a hell of a lot of living space. Shit, more life? More living space, more like. Because this is one of several living areas that Drake seems to have at his crib. Some areas of which Drake actually showed off on Instagram when he seemingly had an all-day visit from your boy, Jay-Z. Wait a minute, Jay-Z's round? Okay, stop. You're definitely too broke to even be looking at this. No. In fact, let's pause it there. If you want to continue watching this video, you're gonna have to prove to me that you're not a broke-ass bum. You need to get out a full stack of $100 bills right now and rub them on the screen here to prove that you're actually even rich enough to be looking at this exclusiveness. Just stack of $100 bills, just rub them on the screen there. Just rub them up and down gently, just $100 bills, all hundreds. No, Tiger, I see you, Tiger, rubbing those $1 bills. I'm no sucker out here. Better be 100 or get out of here. Okay, appreciate that. Thanks to all the baller-ass motherfuckers that are still with us at this point, we can continue the video. God, broke people are gross, aren't they? Of course, Drake's kitchen is absolutely luxurious and filled with enormous marble countertops that weighed an absolute ton. In fact, I believe that around a dozen workmen actually died trying to put these enormous slabs of granite into Drizzy's house. But then again, of course, the life of a tiny working-class peon is worth nothing compared to Drizzy's insatiable thirst to compensate for his tiny wang. His kitchen fittings and worktops are covered in ornate, solid gold fixtures and fittings, which were allegedly engineered by the top scientists in Atlanta to cook the best crack. In fact, I actually hear that when the Migos are in Toronto, they come round Drake's house and have a crack, bake and sail off to keep their skills sharp and of course ensure that they always have new stuff to rap about. In addition, the kitchen itself also has a luxurious lounge with an extra long fireplace. As we all know, Drake loves constantly being around fire to remind him of what his music used to sound like 5 years ago. A beautiful staircase leads you upstairs from the lounge, and if you look up, you'll see some exquisite spiky ball chandeliers that allegedly cost $1,000 a spike and were actually modeled on Drake's own tiny spiky balls. Apparently, these chandeliers are actually detachable and serve a double function as luxury medieval maces. For any times that Drake finds himself confronted with an unwashed, disgusting member of the public and wishes to bludgeon their skull to pulp for his own amusement, like some sort of auto-tuned Canadian psycho. And although a few images of bedrooms of this property seem to have been bandied around online, it doesn't seem like a picture of the true master bedroom has surfaced. And apparently the biggest bedroom of this house is even rumored to be the size of an entire normal person's house. But I assume Drake's proper bedroom's never been available for photography. Because he's such a busy guy always touring, he never has time to clear out all of the young girls he has chained up there. Hey, I know R. Kelly has the same problem. One of the most famous and photographed areas of the embassy is apparently the 44 by 94 regulation-sized basketball court. The whole thing is adorned with enormous artworks of Drake's tiny penis. OVO record label, I get those two confused sometimes. In fact, his ball court is so big and lavish, he even sent one of his boys up to the rooftop to take videos of him shooting jump shots from the skylines. God, that shot looks kind of familiar.
I can see everything and they're none the wiser.
And being the generous lover he is, apparently Drake allows the women that stay at his house to be unshackled for an hour a day to get exercise, seen here shooting hoops looking like a 10th grade female gym class. Though I've got to say, if there's one area of this house that seems to be an enormous letdown, it's the absolutely puny gym. But then again, I've heard that Drake really likes getting his workout jogging through the streets of Toronto. Running through the six, get it? Hey, come on, they can't all be underage girl jokes. And look, we all know that Drake loves to act like his shit don't stink, but you'd be lying if you said that his shit don't sing. Because his home is actually equipped with a singing toilet that plays ambient music when you use it. I've always found it interesting that this has been described as a singing toilet rather than a musical toilet, which seems to suggest that this toilet is some kind of sentient being. And apparently this sentient toilet is singing a different tune after 6 months of gobbling Drake's vegan shits.
Kill me, kill me.
And beyond his singing turd gobbler, or party next door as he calls him, Drake's bathroom setup is complete with an indoor spa and bathtub inspired by a giant contact lens. Drake also has a big fat closet, complete with a giant flat screen TV which will provide him great entertainment when he's hiding in it, as people continue to question why this heartthrob can't hold down a long-term relationship. And another area of the house that's not photographed is a rumored Jersey museum, where Drake supposedly keeps his huge haul of sports memorabilia. But then again, for all we know, this room could be filled with trinkets from all of his trips to New Jersey. And let's be real, it's not even worth going around Drake's house if you're not planning to get wet and wild. And he's got an indoor pool, outdoor pool, and numerous saunas that are sure to keep the ladies wet. He's got this enormously opulent indoor pool, which to be honest, I would struggle to fill with friends even on my 30th birthday. And that's matched by another enormous and luxurious outdoor pool and seating area for entertaining guests, leaving me, a lonely loser, completely baffled as to how anybody could even possibly have that many friends. Beyond the pool area, he has yet another luxurious sauna room, complete with a cold shower plunger which every 10 minutes fills up with a fresh bucket of 2 gallons of Meek Mill's tears. And after you're done with your sweat down, you can catch a rub down because Drake's house is complete with a massage room that is apparently bigger than Jeffrey Epstein's. Look man, Jeff's massage room is nice, but Drake's is just bigger is what I'm saying. He's got a giant black stone bathtub that seems to be something that a Bond villain would wash in. This thing is so big that it had to be delivered by a crane, and it seems to be taking up so much bandwidth on delivery that it looks all blocky and needs more time to render. And hell, if you weren't bored out of your skull at this point with Drake stunting on you, he's got a wine cellar filled with luxurious bottles of Aces and fancy French wines that a peon like you wouldn't even be able to pronounce. But good thing his fluke of a baby mama, his words not mine, is French so that she can pronounce them for him. Nah, I'm just messing with you, she never gets invited round. But of course, for the discerning owner of an illicit love child, Drake has a designer Hermes kids room. Good to see that he's putting in that work early to ensure that his son grows up to be a rich and entitled asshole.
And well, naturally, just as I was in the edit for this video, Drake dropped an incredibly tone-deaf video for his new song, Tootsie Slide. It starts off with some shots of an empty Toronto, proving that he's at least aware of the ongoing health crisis, but not quite self-aware enough of just how many normal people are suffering financially not to flex his enormous and empty mansion. Starting off by giving us a glimpse of that trophy room we were promised, as well as his enormous ornate hallways adorned with Kaws sculptures and terrible dancing, as well as his enormous kitchen, a few other rooms, and the outdoor area, when he even ended the video with a humongous fireworks display. Because hell, it's a celebration! Sure, the rest of the world's going through financial turmoil, but thank God Drake's still rich. Don't worry about the crisis, everyone, because Drake's gonna be okay. Hooray for Drake!
Alright, fine, I'll wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm jealous of Drake's house. It's a darn sight better than the 2-bedroom apartment I currently share with my parents, sure. Drake's 25 with 25 mil, I'm 26 with 26 flushes to get rid of a stubborn turd in my toilet. But for everyone out there saying I'm a hater, I'm here to stand up for the little guy, the normal man, the basement dweller. And I'm here to say, Drake, we don't care how many rooms, square foot, or teenage sex slaves you've got in your mansion, you're not above being made fun of. Because that's not a house fit for a king or a sex god. It's the house of a show-off with a small wang that's compensating for something. And I hope the Toronto government sees that embassy and turn it into a hospital for people that really need it. And that's big facts, and that's my motto, baby.
Thank you for watching, and if you haven't had a chance, go and check out the music video that I just dropped on my channel, I'ma Stay Home. Just something a little bit fun to keep everybody entertained while we're going through this nasty crisis. And I want to give a huge shout out to all of the patrons that have been supporting. Last month, I made sure that all of the Patreon donations went to causes that are fighting against the ongoing health crisis, and I'll be doing the same this month. So anybody that wants to support, head on over to patreon.com/traplordross, and I want to give a shout out to those people that have been supporting so far. That's Chris, Sebastian Andres Laredo, Sean Anderson, Vampires for Hire, Mathis Martin, Antonio Groza, Bash the Prince, Chris J, Claire Audient, DJ Fred 100, Griffin Fuller, Henry Bryant, Jaden Cho, Jason Wyman, Javier Gonzalez, Jessica Simmons, Kizzlebot, Niraj Shukla, Otaku VS, Penis Bag McPenis Face, Pyromancer, Vivi, and Wilson Psychedelic, as well as everybody else's names that you see on screen right now. I really appreciate your support, and I really appreciate you continuing to support so that we can make a difference and donate to worthy causes. If you haven't already, go and follow your boy at TrapLordRoss on Instagram, on Twitter, and if you are one of the absolute OGs that's tuning into this on the premiere, most likely I'm going to be jumping on Twitch after this to stream and answer your questions live, so make sure you follow me there at twitch.tv/TrapLordRoss. As well as that, I'm going to be dropping some new merch in the store very soon, traplord.com. I think there's actually one design in there already, but I haven't even got any samples yet. So if you want to cop one of those, you can, but I haven't even got one yet, so I can't even show it off. I'm just wearing black tees. But I recently put a call out to anybody on Instagram, graphic designers that are up for designing me some sort of stay-home shirt. And once I've got that in the bag, I'll be launching a new stay-at-home piece of merch with all of the proceeds going to worthy causes that are fighting this health crisis. So that's everything that's going on. I appreciate everybody for watching this video and being with me so far. You guys are the gang. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Till next time, peace.